Joining me now is Neil Katyal, former acting Solicitor General under President Obama and an MSNBC legal analyst. He says those text messages between U.S. diplomats about Ukraine make impeaching President Trump, quote, constitutionally required. And Evelyn Farkas, she's former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Russia and Ukraine and an MSNBC national security analyst. Welcome to both of you. Neil, while I want to actually dispense with what the CIA General Counsel may have done and what the Justice Department may have thinking. You know the Justice Department as well as anybody, though I'm not going to say you know Bill Barr's thinking as well as anybody.
I kind of do.
If it's not a campaign finance referral, what could it be?
Well, I think it could be something like bribery, extortion. Possibly it's not, the referral wasn't at Trump. We don't know that. It could have been at someone lower, in which case there could be abuse of classified information and the like. With the president, he has what's called declassification authority.
I was just going to say, so the president himself would basically be immune from a charge like that.
Largely
correct?
With respect to intelligence information. If you use intelligence information in some wrong way, you could be charged with that. But the president could be, deemed a criminal.
All right, but at this point, do the referrals matter? And I say this, and I say, okay, I think there's a lot for the Justice Department Inspector General to start to investigate about how did justice handle these complaints. We're now past that.
Way past.
Where are we in your estimation?
Well, we are where you started your show with yesterday, movingly, Chuck. You said this was a national nightmare and the rules of our democracy are being broken, and that's what it is. So there's several matrices. One is, was a crime committed, these statutes we're talking about.
Right.
When we're talking about impeachment, impeachment's never been about a crime. A crime can be helpful evidence, but it's by no means necessary. And so what you're looking at here is pretty much the quintessential definition of what our founders thought impeachment was about, which is using a foreign power to help your own political ends. That's literally what the Federalist Papers are about.
Kurt Volker's opening statement was released today, Evelyn, and it really seemed to add the narrative to the text messages that we all sort of just were guffawed about last night as they came over. Let me put up the first full screen from his testimony, because this is a very telling anecdote he told about a meeting with the president. This is now the former special envoy, Kurt Volker. We met as a group with President Trump on May 23rd. He said that Ukraine was a corrupt country full of terrible people. He said they, quote, tried to take me down. In the course of that conversation, he referenced conversations with Mayor Giuliani. He was clearly receiving other information from other sources, including Mayor Giuliani, that was more negative, causing him to retain his negative view. Kurt Volker painted a very damning picture of all of this in his opening statement. We don't even know what the testimony is.
Right. I mean, it's really disturbing, Chuck. And I think the thing that we have to bear in mind is not only was this an issue of President Trump asking for Ukraine, another country, to interfere in our elections by giving dirt to him to help him, right? But at the same time, he's throwing all kinds of questions in about 2016. Again, at the same time, he's doing the Kremlin's work. And this is the thing that bothers me, because we don't even know, still to this day, what he and Vladimir Putin talk about when they talk. We don't have the transcripts from Helsinki. I don't know whether anyone ever sat down with that interpreter and said, if you can't give us notes, at least tell us from memory what was said, which is hard for an interpreter because they're actually not paying attention to the content.
Let me ask you about, because all of this is also raised to me the ellipses, and I'm starting to wonder, are these ellipses essentially Rosemary, or should we start nicknaming them Rosemary Woods? Meaning, are these ellipses going to be the missing 18 minutes? Like, what else was said on this call? Is a full transcript of this call reside somewhere in the government?
So this is what I'm worried about. The answer might be no, because what I'm hearing, and I have sources in the government still, people I used to work with in different agencies, and what I'm hearing is literally, Evelyn, you would be shocked. We get readouts that don't resemble what we know to be the truth. It's like an alternative reality. I mean, that's almost verbatim a quote from someone. And that
For what
is
it's worth,
disturbing
every
to me.
readout I've ever seen from the White House publicly about leader phone calls, they never match the reporting. They never do.
Well,
just our own reporting. We've never been.
But I mean, I think under the Obama administration, and I was told under the first year of the Trump administration, they tried very hard to have an accurate record. But clearly, somewhere along the line, they lost their way. And it's not just probably these phone calls, but other things at lower levels. And if you FOIA something now, Chuck, I will just give you as advice. Don't just FOIA to get the documents. Interview the people. Interview some more people, some civil servants.
You have to find out what else you need to FOIA, as it turns out. Where are we going next? They have laid out, they've got this, I mean, I heard Ted Lieu today say, you could write the articles now.
Absolutely. So, you don't need the missing 18 minutes or anything else. The evidence that's just come out in the last 24 hours is overwhelming. And I think the most important thing, Chuck, is it really shows the legal and factual defense that we've been hearing for the last week by Trump to have crumbled entirely. I mean, remember,
by the way, you say it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming if you were in a court of law in your mind, right? The problem is, who is the jury here, right?
Yes, but even still, I think when they start looking at this, and it's such a serious picture of seeking out foreign interference and help after help and delaying things, like foreign aid appropriated by the Senate, you've got to think at some point, the Republicans have to do what's in their constitutional oath, which is say, is this a qualified president?
There was one part of the text messages, Evelyn, that you can't help but wonder. I want to put up full screen 5, guys. The career diplomat, Bill Taylor, says, are we now saying that security assistance in a White House meeting are conditioned on investigation? Gordon Sondland, who is the U.S. ambassador to the EU, says, call me. And then, of course, Bill Taylor then says, this is all on September 9th. September 9th's a key day.
Anytime someone says, call me, by the way, Chuck.
Yeah. All right.
They don't want to answer.
Yeah. So then the career diplomat, Bill Taylor, says, as I said on the phone, I think it's crazy to withhold security assistance for help with a political campaign. Yeah. And then, just so you know, at some point, before Gordon Sondland responds on this text, the IG officially notifies Congress of a whistleblower complaint. Okay? We know that happened that day on the same day as his text. Because then all of a sudden, in a legalistic way, Gordon Sondland writes, Bill, I believe you are incorrect about President Trump's intentions. The president has been crystal clear, no quid pro quos of any kind. The president is trying to evaluate whether Ukraine is truly going to adopt the transparency and reforms that President Zelensky promised during his campaign. I suggest we stop the back and forth by text. If you still have concerns, I recommend you give Lisa Kenna or a call to discuss them directly.
S is the secretary.
Thanks. What's amazing here is that if you read the text exchange, Gordon Sondland's texts never sound like this until the last second.
Yeah, and can I just say, Chuck, when I read this, I want to substitute, for Giuliani's name, Michael Cohen, for Sondland. I think it's Pompeo. I mean, Sondland is in there doing this work with the full knowledge of Pompeo. That's S. S is Pompeo, and he's also, I think, doing the president's work, and he's the most reliable one. He's the real political guy, full-time political guy, donor guy, and he is a European Union ambassador, which means
Nobody
he has no business
why was he
involved in this. Yeah.
So there's a very simple point about this, which is, I've litigated now for 2 decades plus. You never have evidence like this, like
that it's that easy?
Text messages. This is so easy, and this is like the drug dealer who calls and says, "Oh, when I said Coke, I meant Coca-Cola." I mean, that's what that last text is. It's just an over-lawyered, ham-handed.
You have to want to not believe what you're seeing in order to believe the statement.
Exactly.
Well, let me ask you one question about Bill Barr and justice and the handling of this. I'm sure, is there an apparatus within justice that is actually going to investigate what he's doing?
Well, there is the Inspector General.
But is there something he's done that would have the IG involved?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, the idea that, first of all, just on what we know, he said that this was not a thing of value, so there wasn't a campaign finance violation. That is so dubious and so questionable. And even if true, he had to refer it to the FEC, which he didn't do. So that starts to look like already there's some sort of Justice Department cover-up. And now with the new reporting that maybe other crimes were buried too, this is not the way any Justice Department that I've...
So what you're saying, it should be a no-brainer that the IGs probably should have already opened an investigation.
Yeah, I'm sure it's open.
All right. Neil Katyal, Evelyn Farkas.
Thank you.
The story continues. Thank you both. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Beat the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.